62 this afternoon. Our nighttime low 56. Skies mostly clear. And a bright sunny Thursday coming up. And a little bit warmer. The high temperature near 84. We get to Friday, more humid. Lots of sunshine. The high near 86 degrees. I'm Bob Kukin. Talk Radio WRNR.
Heroin addiction, overdoses, kids' futures at risk and growing up to become drug abusers. It's a national problem. Prevention can solve it, but where do we start? The Martinsburg Initiative is our police-school community partnership and model solution to this national problem. It's based on the science of adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, the traumatic experiences during childhood resulting in serious problems when they grow up. ACEs are caused by abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction, and they really matter. A child with 6 adverse childhood experiences is almost 50 times more likely to become a heroin user as an adult. A positive adult role model spending a few hours a month with a child can make the difference. A child with a mentor is 46% less likely to begin using illegal drugs. 46%. Mentors change lives. We need mentors. Change a life. Be a mentor. Call Project Director Tiffany Hendershot today at 304-267-3510. 304-267-3510.
Are you running a travel team, heading up a sports league, no time to manage the day-to-day operations? You need 10th Degree Technologies, an all-inclusive year-round sports league management company. They have everything you need from software to administrative support with no setup fees and no monthly fees. Stop the revolving door of volunteers that can stop your league or team's progress. Contact the professionals at 10th Degree Technologies, phone 304-901-4000, online at 10thdegreetech.com.
The Honda Memorial Day sales event is back, and you could get a brilliant deal on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's the perfect way to start summer across America. From the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, Cape Cod, Atlantic City, the Grand Canyon, the Mojave Desert, the Golden Gate Bridge, and even back up to Niagara Falls. Although technically we share it with Canada. So start your summer with the 2018 KBB.com Best Overall brand during the Honda Memorial Day sales event. Hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
Miller Honda south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 Brand Image Awards from Kelly Blue Book. Visit kbb.com for more information.
Now's the time to talk with John's Pool Supplies about opening your pool. Or maybe it's time for a new above-ground or in-ground pool. John's Pool Supplies, 237 Eagle School Road, has over 30 years of experience and a large selection of products, services, and supplies for your pool or hot tub. From custom liner installation and pool inspection to free water testing, call John's Pool Supplies at 304-267-2000, johnspoolsupplies.com.
Talk Radio WRNR studios. It's time for Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob Mario and David Welch.
This first segment of the show brought to you this morning by Bechtel Jewelers, West Virginia's largest Pandora retailer. We do live in South Inwood, next to Viva Mexico. Good morning, David.
Hey, good morning to you. This morning, I just want to do a shout out and good luck to our very own United Way holding their breakfast, their annual breakfast this morning. If it weren't for this job, I would have probably been there. I'm all for the United Way.
Where's the breakfast?
I think it's at the Holiday Inn. I think it's about the only place big enough.
Are you back in the fold there again?
No, I mean, I'm still on the personnel committee and try to be as supportive as I can. emceed one of their events, but if you're asking if I'm back on the board, no, I'm not.
No, but do you do the video still?
Yeah, I have done that for a number of years, actually. We do that pro bono, their annual campaign video. So we've done a number of them. And we mostly well received, actually. As a matter of fact, a few years ago we did one. I don't know if it was the one you were on or not, but we actually won a national award.
I'm sure it was the one I did then.
Then it had to be. Yeah, it had to be, just because of you.
What about?
I still owe you money for that, don't I?
No.
Talent fee?
Let me just say that that was the only time I've ever worked for you as opposed to with you.
Well, you really weren't working for me. You just were under my direction for about an hour. And you did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. You were giving direction. I was listening. So that means I was working for you.
Was that the only time you did it in front of a green screen?
Oh no, I did the weather. Remember WIVN television, Fox 60?
Oh sure, yeah, I do. Well, it was short-lived, but I do remember it.
I was the weekend weatherman there for about a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Until the place went under.
Huh.
And then
so you green screened that.
I waited for about 2 hours to get my pay.
Yeah. Speaking of weather, we're in store for partly cloudy, partly sunny, and mid-70s today, I think, right?
Beautiful day today. If you were going to have your Memorial Weekend celebration on Saturday and Sunday, you may get wet.
Oh, is that right? That's Saturday possible. Too? I thought Saturday might be okay. I hope so, because we have a big family event planned for that day.
Saturday you could get wet, and Sunday.
That's the annual family float down the Capon or
Oh, you're going to get in the raft and go for a little...
Yeah, go in the kayaks and the canoes, and we have about 20 of us, and off we go. In fact, very excited that my son Pete and his wife Allie will be down from New York for that as well.
Is it true you named your raft the Valdez?
You know, I actually don't own my own kayak. I'd like to get one someday if I got in the mood.
My goal is to buy a kayak.
If I'm only going to use one once a year, my friend Bill Stubblefield always comes through with a couple of kayaks for Debbie and I. So
does Bill go rafting with you?
No, I don't know if Bill goes rafting with himself, actually.
He's an admiral. You don't want to go rafting with the admiral.
I have gone out on his pontoon boat many times with him.
How is he as a driver of the pontoon?
Oh, he's full control. you have to ask to come aboard and salute when you enter, and all of that. But other than that, he's very normal. Other than that,
what's the name of Bill's boat? Do you know?
I don't know. He doesn't have it anymore.
Oh, he doesn't?
No, he and Bonnie got out of the, for whatever, he didn't tell me a reason, but he no longer has his dock or his boat. But for several years, it was one of my favorite events to help the Stubblefields put their dock in the Potomac River. Because you have to take it out during the winter, and you put it in and it's a whole. They were amazingly organized. If you know both of them,
it's not amazing then.
They just are
ritualistically organized.
They are a great team, and it was the one time a year. And I don't think I'm speaking out of school here because I think they laugh about it too. They don't really bicker at each other at all. They're just a wonderful couple. But it was the only time a year they would bicker at each other because she had her way of doing things and he had his way of doing things. And when those two mighty forces are in opposite direction on how exactly to do the boat thing, it's quite humorous.
Well, Bonnie, how you can argue with an admiral about water?
Oh, she holds her own.
I mean, come on.
Well,
he's an admiral. He got to let him own the water. I mean, even if it comes to the bathtub, he's got to have his way.
They have a long history together on boats. Mm-hmm. A long, long history of being together on big ships. And I think she was the scientist,
right?
The chief scientist on board. And I think he just drove the thing. I mean, it was a typical couple, right?
He just drove.
Yeah. I mean, it was like when you go out on a trip with your wife, right? Yeah. You're driving, and she's telling you where to go.
Well, do you know the great thing now about navigation systems?
Just put that up to a big ship, and that's probably the way they were.
I bet the navigation system has saved more marriages than anything else. Because men would not stop and ask for directions, and the women would say, why don't we just pull over at this gas station? And as a man, that's like asking for help to light your grill. Right? I mean, am I wrong?
Well, I want to share a story with you. And it is the first time I ever experienced having a navigation system in a car, GPS system, in which the nice young lady spoke to you and told you where to go. And notice that it's not a man's voice on those GPS. It's always a woman's voice on those things, although I suppose you could special order a guy. But so the first experience I ever had with this was before you had them in your iPhone. And it's as convenient as it is now. You would rent a car. Remember that? You'd rent from Avis or Hertz or one of the budget or whatever, and they would put if you paid a couple of extra dollars, you'd have a navigation system in your car, and you could punch in your address where you're going. Debbie and I fly into Minneapolis. This has got to be 15 years or so ago, 12, 15 years ago. We fly into Minneapolis to spend a weekend with her sister who lives there. And we rent a car, and we're driving over to her sister's house. It's probably a 40-minute drive from the airport to her sister's house. And we don't know the lay of the land very well. I mean, we've been to her house, but we don't really know, how to get there on our own. So we set the navigation system. The computerized voice on the navigation system got into an argument with my wife. They were literally having an argument.
It can do that?
Well, she would say, in 1/4 mile, turn right. And, well, the next street may not be a 1/4 mile, but there would be a street there. And Debbie would say, we need to turn right here. So we would turn right there, and then the computerized voice would tell us that you made a wrong turn. Turn around right now.
Recalculating.
And Debbie would say, we turned where you told us to turn. I mean, and so at some point I either had to turn it off or drop her out of the car. Because I couldn't put it up.
Which did you choose?
I could not put up with 2 bickering women in my car any longer.
I have to ask, which did you choose?
You know how I chose.
All right, best navigation systems. You haven't heard this one in a while. This is a really good one. Jim Brewer is Joe Pesci.
Right under Goat Boy has got to be Joe Pesci.
You know what? Here, I'm going to give everyone a big tip to make lots of money. Put him on a GPS voice, and he'll make $1 billion. I would pay $20 a month to hear.
What's the matter with you? You paying attention?
See, there you go.
You're fidgeting with the radio channels. You're not paying attention. We're going to miss a turn. 200 feet, 50 feet. Now we missed. Now we got to go down. We gotta make U-turn. We can't make it. Now we got to cross this bridge. Who knows what's on the other side of the bridge? You don't pay attention. That's your problem. Your whole family will pay. Why am I in your car? Tell me why I'm in your car. I don't want to be here. Get me out. Henry.
See, except for the names and the places,
sure.
My story is basically the same one. Or you could have James Earl Jones as your GPS voice.
Oh, that's a voice.
You know, wouldn't that be great?
You would listen.
You know, you want to turn right at this stoplight right now.
Listen to me because I am your father, Luke. You would listen.
Or you could have Morgan Freeman. That would be nice.
Oh, that would be the voice of God.
Yeah, voice of God. It would just be sort of a documentary on how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, this road didn't exist. But now that you're driving along it, so that would be interesting.
Yeah, there was a great episode on The Office where Steve Carell's GPS system told him to turn, and where the turn was a lake. And he turned into the lake because he had to listen to the GPS. He sunk the car. And he was getting into an argument with the person in the car with him. The GPS says I have to turn here. I'm turning here. It knows what it's doing.
So my story wasn't really that unique. There are probably lots of stories, but that was true though. Debbie and the GPS gal getting into literally an argument in the car.
One of the first things I ever did with my wife when she was still my girlfriend, we were going to.
Oh, come on, she's still your girlfriend.
Well,
okay.
At the time, she was not my wife, though.
Okay, there you go.
And we were still living in Pittsburgh, and my grandmother's birthday party was being held at my Uncle Nick's house, and he lived in the Brookline section of Pittsburgh. And
right where that is.
From my youth, and that's only a couple of miles from where I grew up anyway, where my house was. So, but as a kid, I remembered going there a certain way, but I never really was sure what the turn was because as a kid, you don't really pay that much attention. But I knew there was these big cobblestone blocks that made up the road leading to his house, and I figured if I could just find that, I would be able to find the house. And I didn't bring an address, and I was supposed to be there, I think, at noon. And we drove around about 2-mile area for about 2 hours with my wife to be saying, "Will you just stop and ask somebody?"
And you
where this is?
And you said,
"I said I can figure this out. I was there 100 times as a kid. I will figure it out."
Why are men like that?
And I eventually figured it out, but by the time I did that, the party was about halfway through.
And had you just listened to her, or didn't you take a vow to obey?
No,
you weren't married yet.
Married.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't bring the address because I thought, well, I kind of know where it is.
So had you listened to her, you could have pulled into a service station or a convenience store.
Could have said, "Where's this road?"
Just ask, and you'd have been saved all that agony. Why are guys like that? I'm like that too. I used to be like that. I've reformed now.
Well, you have a GPS now. You don't need to be like that.
Well, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I figure that the GPS system that I've now been using, tell me how many years we've been using these
15?
the way we are now.
Well, you can get like a Garmin before, which was, it was dedicated to doing that as opposed to your phone or what's in your car.
Yeah, I would say a decade or so, 10 to 15 years is where, I mean, I've relied on it almost daily, it seems like, and to do something. But I figure that had I had one of those throughout my working life, let's say graduate from college and work for 35, 40 years, that I would have probably saved myself a year of my life by not being lost and looking for things. A whole year it could have saved me.
Think about what this has done for directions, though. I mean, you wouldn't stop for directions before as a man because you were a man. You'd figure it out.
Sure.
And now you won't stop for directions because it would say to somebody you're asking directions of, what's the matter? You don't know how to use a navigation system? So you look like a tech simp if you ask for directions now.
You look like an idiot,
right?
Sure.
So you still won't ask for directions either way now.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, there's the navigation system.
Yeah. No, it's amazing how much we rely on them, and really when you think of the entire technology, it's kind of a combination of radical convenience and kind of scary in a way, because when you think about it, someone always knows where you are.
The eye in the sky.
In order to get directions from wherever you are to wherever you want to go at any given time, that means that something or someone, probably something, knows exactly what your whereabouts are at all times. That's kind of frightening in a way.
Roy wants to know if we're drinking the Kool-Aid this morning. I don't know what that means, though, Roy.
Have to explain on that, I guess.
Yeah, I need a
spiked Kool-Aid?
I need an explanation.
Ask him, Roy, just tell us this. Are you enjoying the show today? That's all we care about.
Our wonderful producer, Sherry Dieter Davis, says the reason why men don't ask for directions is pride, and I agree with that. I don't want some man to know out there that he's manlier than I am because I have to ask him for directions. Again, I say
what's wrong with being proud?
It's like asking you to help me light my grill. If I do that, I might as well turn in my man card.
Yeah, absolutely. But why? What's wrong with being proud, number one? And don't women like men who are proud of themselves? And
don't women like to ride around for 2 hours in a circle looking for their grandmother's house?
Because of a guy. Sure. There are exceptions.
Take the woodpecker. I've got a woodpecker update. Squeeze that. Give me a sound effect, will you, please?
There you go.
All right, my wife texted me this morning. We got the dust in there. I called I had to swallow my man pride on this one in one sense, and call the exterminator in to get that dust inside all the wood that has been, I guess, bored out by the borer bees. Right?
It's kind of a sawdusty thing, like termites. Is that what it's like?
It's some kind of dust that kills the bees and their larvae.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that guy come last week, and I haven't seen but one borer bee since.
Oh,
right?
So he did a good job.
Yeah, as far as I know. But the woodpecker,
too bad you didn't get that last one.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I may have gotten it because I did hit it with a tennis racket, but I didn't have shoes.
Oh, I forgot about the backhand. Okay.
Yeah, that might have been my 14th confirmed kill, but he got up and flew away because I didn't have any shoes on or even slippers or moccasins.
There you go. That's your problem. That's your problem.
So I nicknamed the woodpecker that showed up, I call him the pterodactyl because that's how big he is.
With the big wings flying.
Yes. Like those dragons from Game of Thrones.
Too funny.
Right? Do you remember, what were the names of those dragons? Do you remember?
They're the children of...
yeah, but you gave them each a name, right?
I think she did, yes. I can't recall it.
I have to look that up. All right, so my wife texted me at 6:30. Now, she's off today. She said, the pterodactyl is back and he is attacking the inside of our deck now, the part we can see from the kitchen. I hope nobody saw me on the deck in my bathrobe and no shoes, screaming at the bird and waving a hockey stick. Well, because it's hockey season. I covered up the hole he made and sat a scarecrow in a chair by the hole. It has stopped him for now, but I don't imagine that will last long. So I'm still under assault from this pterodactyl. And do I have, I'll check with Sherry real quick to tell us that Roy is with us on the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. Roy, good morning to you.
Top of the morning to you, fellas.
Top of the morning back at you.
Hey, y'all into the Kool-Aid this morning, aren't you?
What does that mean, man?
Yeah. You never heard the meaning of the Kool-Aid?
Well, the Kool-Aid, I associate the Kool-Aid with Jonestown. You know, everybody drank the Kool-Aid and died.
No. Now they're formatting the Kool-Aid. If you drink the Kool-Aid, you're a far leftist, extremist, Democrat, things like that.
Really?
And
so Kool-Aid now has got a political association?
Yes, it has for the last a year or so.
I didn't know. Did you know that, Dave?
No, I did not.
I had no idea about that. No. So what does it mean if we're drinking the Kool-Aid on the show? We're liberals or conservatives?
You're too far to the left.
So if I'm too far to the left because why this morning?
Oh, I just said that in joking because you're talking all the little innuendos you're talking about, and you're skipping all over the place like they do, and that's what makes fun radio. I'm sitting there laughing when Dave said some of the things he said, and then you said something about getting lost in Pittsburgh, and I thought about the time that me and the wife was going to North Carolina for a vacation. She had never been to a beach in her entire life, and I was sick, and I taken some medicine. I said, "You drive, and I'm going to take a nap." And we get down there, and I said, "All right, I'm going to take over from here." I took over, and then I got down where a place that I spent every summer at in North Carolina with my relatives, and I couldn't find the place.
So what did you do?
And I kept saying, "Well, honey," I said, "give me a few minutes. I'll find it." I said, "Things have changed since I was last down here." She said, "Stop at a gas station or anything, a police officer. Ask somebody for directions. What is it with you men that you cannot have the liberty to get out and ask for assistance or directions?"
Oh, we've all had that lecture, Roy. I guarantee we've all had that lecture.
Oh, definitely. So I stepped out of the van, and I looked at her. I said, "You take the wheel." We spent another 3 hours trying to find the place. She kept looking at me.
Why didn't she stop for directions?
That's what I said to her. I said, if you're not
she's no better than you are.
Yeah, I said, if you're not going to stop and ask, you take the wheel. We spent another 3 hours riding around trying to find the location, and I'm sitting here reading all the information to her. And at this time, we didn't have, GPS, and I'm like, I just looked at her. I said, "Baby, let me have the wheel back." I finally got down another couple of miles, and I seen a police officer, and I pulled over and asked him for directions. He said, "Better yet," he said, I'll drive you right to the front door.
With cuffs on.
And is that whiskey on your breath?
No, don't drink. But, that was a fun moment, because even the officer started laughing at both of us and everything. He just had a ball with that. He thought we were arguing. I said, "No, we're not arguing. We don't argue." I said, "We just don't know where we're at."
We argued 3 hours ago when we started this fiasco. I remember a friend of mine on a slow-pitch softball team I used to play on in Pittsburgh, and I remember this guy had just kind of moved to Pittsburgh, and he was saying he was headed to this other part of the city. And I remember saying to him, "Oh, do you know how to get there? You need me to tell you how to get there, whatever?" He goes, "No, I got this map." And I just started laughing because I thought, a map? Who needs a map? You just kind of go and figure your way out there. But the art of map reading is now a lost art because you don't have to.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You just listen to the voice.
You mentioned another thing that is, not worth probably handing in your man card over, but hugely embarrassing, and it really sort of inflicts it upon your pride, and that's striking out in a slow pitch softball game.
Did you do that? Have you done that?
I don't think. Probably have.
I think I did. I may have done it once.
But you just feel terrible when you strike out, unless it's on a foul ball. Strike out.
That's different.
But
if you swing and miss.
But if you whiff 3 times air on slow pitch softball, you might as well find another sport.
You grab your back when you do that and pretend you have an injury or something like that.
Yeah, you do. You have to. By the way, did you get the name of the 3 dragons?
Our listener Will has texted us. Roy, do you watch Game of Thrones?
Because I looked it up here.
I do not. No, sir.
All right, so you couldn't help us on that one. No. So you got the 3 names,
I was trying to.
All right. What do we have?
We got Drogon.
Drogon the dragon?
Mm-hmm.
That's too easy.
Yeah. Rhaegal. Rhaegal. Could I Rachel?
I don't remember. It's been how long? It should have been back on until 2019.
And Viserion. Or Viserion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Dave.
Well, no, I looked it up, or I cheated.
Well, that's okay. That's what I do, too.
Yeah.
Oh, Will texted those things.
And that's another thing, too, these days. You be in a family get-together or a bar, wherever you hang out, and something comes up like this, and what does someone do? I'll look it up. I mean, it's just amazing what we're able to do now. I think
everybody's got trivia everywhere you go.
Roy, our listener Tom says that you need to be a voice on GPS.
There you go.
Right.
He'd be great.
I would gladly be the voice of GPS.
You got a minute and a half now. Take me down King Street and tell me how to get to let's say Boyd Steakhouse. All right, I'm driving down King Street. Go ahead, man. Tell me where I'm going.
All right. If you're coming from Interstate 81, you get off the Interstate exit, King Street, exit 13.
All right.
And go, depending on what direction you're going, but you're going to go toward east on King Street, all the way down to Queen Street, Queen and King Street, to the stoplight at the library. Turn left, go 1 block, up, and it's 3 doors on the right after you go through Burke Street and King Street.
That's actually not too bad for putting you on the spot.
No, and that's that would be real GSP in right there. That'd be great. GPSing, I mean.
Yeah, I get you to the front door, that's for sure.
Yeah.
with GPS.
Roy, I've got one thing to say to you.
You know Hornby's going to come in and take that away from you, right?
You better get that woodpecker out of Rob's house.
Dude, I don't know what I was thinking giving you that woodpecker.
That was like a huge mistake.
That's a really bad idea.
That was bad judgment on your part, but it's in my possession now.
That's just a horrible idea. I don't know what I was thinking. Hey, Roy, thanks for the call, man.
Hey, guys, have a great day. You made my day. Have a good one. Take care. God bless.
8:31, our news is next.
News update. 22 fissures and counting as lava threatens more destruction on Hawaii's Big Island. Geologist Steve Brantley.
I think the biggest worry for us is the current fissure activity could actually become a little bit larger.
CBS's Mark Strassman is in Kapoho with details on one of today's major concerns.
A rogue lava flow has crept onto the property toward the 11 wells of the Puna Geothermal Venture Power Plant. Officials say they've doused 10 pressurized wells with cold water, a process called quenching, and the 11th has been stabilized. They insist for now the public is safe.
The danger is the release of deadly hydrogen sulfate gas. Since the Kilauea volcano began erupting 3 weeks ago, lava has destroyed almost 45 buildings on the island, including one near that plant. Officials say sulfur dioxide emissions have more than doubled. CBS News Update. I'm Deborah Rodriguez.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. According to U.S. Attorney Bill Powell, 32-year-old Jarius Stiles of Martinsburg was sentenced to 3 years in prison after he pled guilty to 1 count of unlawful possession of a firearm in February of this year. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives investigated the case. A Harper's Ferry woman has been given a 2-year prison sentence and 15 years of supervised release for having child porn. Mindy Sue Snyder pled guilty a few months ago to having the materials a few years ago. 25-year-old Ajari Roberts, also known as Wayne Roberts of Stevens City, Virginia, was sentenced to 2 years in prison for bank fraud. Roberts pled guilty to 1 count in February after admitting to using another's ID to commit the crime in March and June of 2016 in Berkeley County. Nighttime lane closures on Interstate 81 are resuming this week between West Virginia Exit 23 and Maryland Exit 1. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Yesterday's showers and thunder showers well off to sea at this point as high pressure moves in from the west, keeps things dry and comfortably warm. Should be a great evening for the Hedgesville High School graduation ceremonies. Same for tomorrow night for Musselman and Berkeley Springs. We're going to see lots of sunshine right through the day and temperatures getting up to around 82 this afternoon. Our nighttime low 56, skies mostly clear, and a bright sunny Thursday coming up, a little bit warmer, the high temperature near 84. We get to Friday, more humid, lots of sunshine, the high near 86 degrees. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
The Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center has introduced a 10-week sports-specific training program called SPEED for 12 to 17-year-old athletes. The goal of SPEED is to evaluate each individual athlete, assess their deficiencies, and design programs to improve the athlete's performance. The new program for young athletes includes strength and conditioning coaching from the Wellness Center pros, as well as the Technogym equipment. If you're interested in building a foundation of long-term athletic success and injury prevention for your athlete, contact the Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center.
Haas's Family Steak and See, where your family wants to eat.
For over 30 years, Haas's Family Steak and See has been serving premium certified steaks made from scratch soups, their famous fresh salad bar, and fresh baked desserts, all at family-friendly prices. Forget the drive-through window and bring your family to Haas's Steak and See on Edwin Miller Boulevard in Martinsburg for lunch and dinner.
Haas's Family Steak and See, where your family wants to eat.
The Honda Memorial Day sales event has brilliant deals on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's the perfect way to start summer across America. From the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, and even back up to Niagara Falls. So start your summer with the 2018 KBB.com Best Overall Brand during the Honda Memorial Day sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Miller Honda south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand image awards from Kelly Blue Book. Visit KBB.com for more information.
Hi, honey.
Where are you? you?
I've been in line at the post office for the last 30 minutes.
Why are you at the post office? It'll take you all day.
Where else do I go to ship my packages or drop FedEx off at?
Honey, going postal is way faster, has less lines, and friendly service.
Where's going postal?
It's right in the Common Shopping Center in Martinsburg. They'll ship your packages quickly, and you can avoid the lines.
Going postal should be your first choice for all your shipping needs. Going postal, the Commons, Martinsburg.
You're really busy. Got it. The last thing you want to think about today is a funeral home. Got it. But a little forward thinking now can save you a lot of heartache later. It's easier than you think. We're Brown Funeral Homes, family owned, in business for over 135 years, since 1880. And we're home based, right here in the Eastern Panhandle. Think smart. Think ahead. Brown Funeral Homes, Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson. Brown Funeral Homes. We're here for you.
This segment of Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave brought to you by the Brown Funeral Homes and Cremations. Robert Fields and Sons, family-owned, full-service funeral home, proudly serving our area since 1880. Davey?
This half hour, Rob, we're going to upgrade the intellectual discourse here on the program, I think, versus the last half hour. We're going to move away from woodpeckers that make sounds and talk about really important stuff. So, Roy, if you're still on board, I think you'll like this segment.
All right. I still don't know that I got the connotation of the Kool-Aid in that circumstantial situation, but I take Roy's word on that it has Kool-Aid has become a political issue.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. You as a recovering political consultant, I would have thought you just still gotten the newsletters on those.
I don't keep up with all of the lingo, but I'm not sure that I think what he was saying is that we drank spiked Kool-Aid today, because what we were doing was having fun and engaging in a lively conversation, kind of having one of our Seinfeld moments. For those of you who don't understand that, it's
20 years since that show went off the air.
It's what we do here. We take a nothing subject and we turn it into a 20-minute discussion. And sometimes we just get off on a tangent like that. A lot of people enjoy that when we go that direction. Some of maybe the more serious scholarly listeners turn to NPR when we start doing that. I don't.
And it turns out they're doing the same thing this morning.
So I don't really know. I do know, though, we've got one of our favorite guests on this morning, and there's a lot to talk about because he is the Deputy Superintendent of Schools. And I want to start, Donnie, with this question to you because it's a question that we had here on the show before we went on the air today, Sherry and Rob and I. And we don't know for sure if Donnie Dellinger, if it's Donnie Dellinger or Donnie Dellinger. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to put my vote in. I have a 50-50 chance, right?
You do.
I think it's I think it's Donnie Dellinger.
You think it's Dellinger? So if you took that,
Sherry thinks it's Donnie Dellinger.
Ger. All right. So Sherry has a ger. You have a jur.
I do.
And I'm the tie-breaking vote.
Yes, you are.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have called Donnie both, and we asked him on the show one time what the correct pronunciation was.
A long time ago, but we forgot.
Yeah.
Because we're both over 50, and it's okay to forget things.
Absolutely. In fact, all three of us in the room are now over 50 years old. So I'm going with ger.
You're going on Sherry's side.
You've got jur.
I have jur, and you and Sherry have ger.
Ger. Don?
It's Dellinger.
It's neither. It's none of them.
It's Dellinger. Yes.
The G is silent.
But I
we didn't even consider that possibility.
But I answer to anything. Sometimes even more profane than that.
So Dellinger. So it sounds like ger, though.
Yeah, yes.
So it's the ing. It's Dellinger.
Yes.
Dellinger.
Dellinger. But it kind of sounds like ger. So I'm going to say it's a win for me and Sherry.
You know what? It doesn't kind of sound like that at all. It is a pure loss for you. You do this every time.
Sherry, come in here, please.
If you lose,
I'm on Sherry's side. So
there it is.
There you go.
So Dave, I think that's 3-1. You've lost. So if you Don, say your last name name fast.
Dellinger.
Okay, so what does that sound like to you?
It didn't sound like Dellinger, which is what you had it as.
To me, it sounds like Dellinger. So I'm going to go with that as a win for me and Sherry and Don himself.
I think most of our listeners know that you bend the rules to your own advantage. That's what you do, and you've done it for so long you get away with it because you know what? At some point in time, you're not going to give up, so I don't care.
If it helps, I have a brother named John, so we have a John Dellinger.
John Dellinger. Nice.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
Machine guns. Yeah. When's the last day of school this year, Don?
Our students' last day is on June the 6th, and our teachers' last day is on Monday, June the 11th.
And your last day is?
Whenever he retires.
I'm looking at whenever I can play my vacation right now when all the we get everything done.
Did you miss talking strike with us in the last couple of months? We haven't been calling you as much.
I missed our morning conversations. So.
You and Wendy Bird, we became regulars on this program.
Yeah, Wendy's told us on numerous occasions he missed talking with us because we had her and we had you on so often. Dale Lee too during that whole thing. It seems like that was 100 years ago, yet it seems like it was yesterday.
We've said this has just been sort of an extraordinary year. It's sort of been one thing after another. We started off with an eclipse.
Right.
If you think about the start of the school year,
that's
started an eclipse and planning for an eclipse. And
you mean the school year starting back in August, yeah.
Starting with an eclipse, and then we had the work stoppage, and we've had some changes in Policy 2510, which is the curriculum instruction policy that we've been dealing with. In fact, and when I get back to the office, sitting down and going through and looking at some policy changes that we're going to have to get board approval on, a grading scale and just some little things. But there are some things. So it's been quite a year. And the amazing thing is that our students and teachers have worked their way through this, and it's been a good year with some strange occurrences.
Let's talk some numbers of graduating seniors in Berkeley County during this week at all of the high schools. Number of kids, percentage of kids graduating, just things that I'm sure that you have in your head and you're probably pretty proud of.
Right now, and we don't have exact numbers yet on graduating seniors. We were talking a little before we went on air. One of the last things that you do as administrative staff as a school, you're waiting up sometimes up to the very last minute to see if a student's finishing up a class for credit, and so to have those exact numbers.
Rob and I would know that well. Yes.
So it looks right now that if you take a look at Martinsburg, Hedgesville, and Spring Mills, enrollment-wise, are all about the same. It looks like they're going to be close to the same with graduating seniors, right around 300, maybe a couple more.
300 per high school.
Per high school,
okay.
Yes. And then Musselman, of course, which is our largest high school, they're going to be a little bit have a little bit larger graduating class, and probably I looked coming out probably 360 to 365, okay. And as you look at percentage-wise, our
that's over 1,200 in my head now. We can say correct, over 1,200 graduating seniors.
We'll have over 1,200.
Okay.
And maybe very closely approaching 1,300.
Okay.
As we look at it, one of the things that we're particularly proud of, I will tell you that our schools, from the administration down through the counselors and the teachers, have worked really hard with students over the year, and they've really worked hard on graduation rate. And we provide a lot of different programs to allow students to be able to recover credit, to get them back on track. We have programs to work with students to encourage them not to drop out and to continuing to get that diploma. Right now, Musselman High School has been our largest. Has the largest percentage of students graduating, and the way they look at it now. When I was principal, basically what you did is that you took your graduating seniors, went back and looked their 9th grade year, their 10th grade year, their 11th grade year, and their 12th grade year, looked at the number of kids who dropped out those years. They may not have even been within that class, but whoever dropped out, you added that on to your graduating class, and then you took the graduating number and divided by that total number, and that's how you got your graduation percentage. Now, with technology and computer, we're able to track when a student comes into one of our high schools. You're able to track the students who transfer out to other schools, other districts, and also the students who drop out. And you have so there will be a 2018 cohort for each of the high schools, and our schools will go back, they'll take a look at those numbers, and that's how they determined from that class that came in, and then students who transferred in, students who transferred out, students who dropped out, all that's configured, and that's how you get your graduation rate. Mussman has been around 96 to 98% graduation rate.
That sounds high to me. Where does that rank statewide or nationally?
It's certainly at the very top. Actually,
very top. Okay.
Actually, nationally,
I would have guessed that.
Actually, if you take a look nationally at what West Virginia's graduation rate is, we rank very high.
Oh, is that right?
And Berkeley County certainly ranks
very nice,
very high. Last year, the only school that we had below a 90% graduation rate was Martinsburg, and they were like 89.7, or I mean, they were right there at the 90%. I think Hedgesville and Spring Mills both were somewhere 91 to 93%. And as we talked to the principals, it looks like they're going to be right at that number again. It's hard to tell right now because of that cohort. It's part of the Department of Education. And they're upgrading. In fact, was talking to Holly Kleppner at Mussman the other day, and she said she went in. She said the funny thing is you go in, you look at your cohort, and you want to check it out. And she said we had like 60 kids there, and they're graduating 365. And again, it's just the constant upgrading of that.
You can drop out when you're 17?
You can drop out when you're 17.
Do you fill out a form, sign a piece of paper? What's the deal?
Yes, students have to come in
without parental consent. You can drop out at 17. Is that what you're saying?
No, you have to have parental, parental consent at 17. Mm-hmm. But then students have to meet with counselors, and it varies from school to school with who they meet with. I will tell you that when I was at Hedgesville, anybody who was going to drop out, who were thinking about dropping, they had to meet with me. And
you said that with emphasis. They had to meet with me.
We don't want students to drop out. Sure. And again, we have a lot of options to try to keep students in, on track to graduate. One of the ones that we, and I don't think we've even talked about on this show in the past, but is a really successful program here in Berkeley County, is what we call the options pathways. And this this started 3 or 4 years ago with through the Department of Education, and they give students, it's an option of, sometimes math is probably the biggest one. Students who aren't very good in math, they fall behind in credits math-wise. Well, you start falling behind in math builds upon each other. You can double up maybe on an English class, but it's tough to double up with algebra and geometry, or geometry and algebra 2 for students who struggle in math in the first place. And they get to the point where they're so far behind in math, to be able to graduate, they look ahead, and it's going to take them another 2 or 3 years, and they're 17, 18 years old, and they're saying, I'm not real sure I want to hang around that long. The option pathways gives them an option. If they can go in, and if they can pass, it used to be the GED, now it's called the TASK. If they can go in.
Is that nationwide, that change, Don, or is it just in West Virginia?
In West Virginia, we've gone to the TASK. The GED is still out there, and it varies from state to state.
But it's still a high school equivalency
it's still
test.
It's still a high school. If you can go in and pass the math portion of the TASK, then you can get those credits. So, and what students do is they go in. We have a program set up at Trudy Parker She works for Berkeley County Schools. We're set up at Rumsey in a lab there, and we transport our students there, and they work to actually become proficient in math. And that's what that equivalency is showing, is that they're proficient in math. And if they can show that proficiency, then we can give them and graduate them also. So that's just one of the many options. We have night programs at our schools. We have a program that we work out that in the evenings at Pikeside, that we bring students in and work on credit recovery. So there are a lot of options for students besides just dropping out.
In regards to dropping out, Don, what's the primary reason kids drop out of school?
At the of course, at the high school level, I think probably the number one reason is the fact is they get behind credit-wise. That's
and then it looks like too big of a mountain to climb.
It looks like too big. That's right now why our schools are becoming so successful with the graduation rate. A long time ago, seems like ancient history now, one of the things that we addressed at Hedgesville was these students who were coming over from the middle school, good kids, actually good students. They just lack some basic skills, and it may have been in math, it may have been in reading, language arts, whatever, and they just needed that extra attention. And we started what we called our school within a school. And we had a cohort of students, approximately 20 students each year, and we worked with them on that. Where our schools have actually expanded upon that. Musselman High School, a number of years ago, they started what they call their freshman academy, and they have a part of the building that their freshmen go, and these teachers work together, and they work with freshmen. One of the administrators is assigned to them, and they really work hard with these freshmen. And the thought process of the school within the school, if you can get those students to earn their credits as a freshman and not fall behind as a freshman, and then continue that on as a sophomore, now you have them. We have them where we can get them into programs like James Rumsey, some of our career technical education programs, and they're not constantly tried to recover. We're fortunate this year we have, and I will not be able to tell you what they stand for, but it's called the BARR grant, BARR grant, and Martinsburg and Hedgesville has participated in that. In fact, they got involved with it. A former Hedgesville student that was one of my graduates. She came back. She works for this program. She wanted to bring it into West Virginia, and she came back and took a look at our area. And I think East Hardy, she also involved East Hardy with this. And it's a program for these at-risk freshmen. And again, the teachers, they come in, work with our teachers to train the teachers on how to work with the students and recognize these students who are falling behind. And the whole goal is to not allow those students to fall behind credit-wise. But all of our schools now, they have programs where they're addressing these students who are coming in as freshmen and trying to keep them on course credit-wise so to continue to graduate. And again, Musselman High School has done a fantastic job with that.
Well, how does your rate compare now as to, say, maybe when you started teaching and maybe 20 years ago?
Well, again, remember, we're in a completely different economy. We're in a completely different socially.
And the calculation is different, too, as you described it
absolutely,
earlier.
the calculation is different. I am going to guess probably when I started teaching, my guess is that graduation rates probably nationally were below 70%. Because of the community we live in, we were probably up in the 70%. I will tell you that one of the things that when I first became principal,
which was what year?
Started in fall 1999. We had actually it was one of our business partners, but we had local businesses. Our students could leave and go to work full time. And one of our local businesses
for credit, I think, right? When you get credit, work credit.
No, I'm not talking about leaving school. They would drop out and go to work full time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And and they were making $15 to $20 an hour at that point in time. And that was 1999. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good salary. And we actually had a local industry that had a billboard posted on the way to Hedgesville High School on Route 9 that said, come work for us. And they talked about the benefits and said, and you do not have to have a high school diploma. So we're trying to keep kids in school. And we had that, and at that point in time,
did you offer up a protest?
Was that the GM? Was that the GM parts plant?
No. And so actually, we did. We at that point in time, we had a meeting with our local industries and said, we want to keep these kids in school. We'll try to work with you to be able. But what they were finding out is that these kids that they didn't like to be in a high school English class, but they were good workers and hard workers, and they're going into these plants, and they are some of the hardest workers that these businesses had. Mm-hmm. So gradually over the years, we've worked on that. We've offered various programs, and that graduation rate's gone up. And I've got to give a lot of credit to our administrators in our schools and counselors and teachers. They've done a nice job in working with students to keep them in school and to get that diploma. And one of the biggest differences, Rob, is back when, whether it's the 70s, the 80s, or even the 90s, is that at that time you could go out and find some pretty good paying jobs, and you could find jobs with benefits, whereas right now, and we have talked about this on the program, I don't think that the thing 20 years ago where everybody was going to need a 4-year college diploma to work by 2020. I don't think that's true, and while we know that's not true, but I think everybody needs not only a high school diploma but some type of post-secondary training, and that's where we're really trying to direct things. Is that we have our students who need to go to a 4-year school, but we also have students who need to go to our community colleges like Blue Ridge and get an associate's degree, or go to our vocational schools like James Rumsey and get some type of credential there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Do you see a trend that is now, I mean, for a long time, it seemed like, as you say, everyone was being pushed to go to college. It seems different now. What do you see out of this 1,200 and some odd students that are graduating in rough percentages? How many do you think are headed to a 4-year college or a technical degree or going into the workforce?
And Dave, I wish I could remember the exact number.
Yeah, I know you couldn't have the exact percentage, but just sort of roundabout. What do you see?
We actually do a survey. In fact, our seniors, as they're meeting to practice for graduation and talk about the lineups and everything, we do a survey with the students and then follow up in the fall with them to the best that we can. And we're finding that our post-secondary going rate is in Berkeley County is somewhere around 75%. And that's, that could be a little bit lower, that could be a little bit higher.
75% of the graduating seniors are
going to some type of post-secondary training. And that could be a 4-year school, it could be a 2-year school, it could be some type of vocational training. And if I remember correctly, and again, don't hold me to this, is that the 4-year school, I think, we were right around 50%.
So about half.
Yeah.
Roughly half of the 1,200 or so are going to a 4-year program.
And actually, I think we're going to see that number maybe drop because of the associate degrees in the community colleges. And again, we work hard, our counselors work hard to direct students into career choices. To give you an example, we talked about the Jumpstart program we had at Blue Ridge. And we had a great year. Actually, we just had a recognition ceremony last week at Blue Ridge for the students who completed it. We thought if we had 25 to 30 kids in that program from all four schools total, that would be great. And we said if we had up to 50, it would be amazing. We actually had about 90 that started in that program this year to get the first year their associate's degree in 6 different programs out of the way. And actually, out of that, we had approximately 75 students complete that program. And when you take a look at that number, that's like 84%, I think, that started. And that's a very high number for completion. Even if you looked at college, and these were high school seniors going and completing these programs. Next year, we've already done the enrollment, and we already have taken the numbers, and we've actually increased from 6 programs up to 9 programs now. And the amazing thing is that we have approximately 170 seniors who've enrolled in this program next year.
And twice of what you had this year.
Absolutely, and Blue Ridge is excited about it. We were only going to do one program last year in healthcare. And when the enrollment came in, we actually begged them, and Leslie C. at Blue Ridge worked great with us. She started a second program. We still had a few students on the wait list to get in. Next year, we will have 4 sections of just healthcare alone with that. So that's going to be almost 100 kids in the healthcare program there.
How about some of the every year it seems to me that there's someone that gets into Harvard or some Ivy League school, or there's someone that gets accepted to one of the military academies. Can you do a shout out to any of the kids that have elevated, let's say, above the average and are really?
I'm trying to think. We have a student that. Is looking at the final decision at MIT.
Oh my!
And once finishes MIT, looks is going to the Wharton Business School.
Oh my!
And just an outstanding Fabulous. Student. I was at Hedgesville High School's recognition program yesterday morning. They have a student who's going to Pepperdine. I think that's the first time we've had a student going to Pepperdine.
That's out where I grew up.
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen that campus?
So I've never seen the campus.
Let me just tell you about this. This campus overlooks the Pacific Ocean from a hill above. You go out to like the lawn in the college, and all you see is the Pacific Ocean. The school's worth going to just for the view.
The other thing that was just amazing yesterday, as you sat down there, my Amanda, my daughter, and myself,
and she's a teacher.
She's a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
We give a scholarship in the name of my wife.
Oh, nice!
And present that. But as I was sitting there, I was trying to add up. They had almost $1 million at Hedgesville in Promise Scholarship. From WVU alone, it was almost $700,000. In fact, I think it was a little over $700,000 scholarship. And when Ron Lyons, the principal, started, he said he told the underclass, said you're going to hear for almost he said you're going to hear over $2 million in scholarships. adding very quickly. It was close to $3 million in scholarships, and you're going to find that's going to be very typical from high school to high school.
John, thank you so much.
Thank you. Always great to be here.
9 o'clock. This is Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg. The news is next.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Zoom Video Conferencing.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Women make history in Democratic primaries across the South. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe on Stacey Abrams' victory in Georgia.
She's the first black woman in U.S. history to be a gubernatorial nominee, and if she wins, she'd be Georgia's first black governor ever. But she faces long odds. Georgia hasn't elected a Democrat as governor since 1999.
An openly gay Latina woman wins the Democratic nomination for governor in Texas. Lupe Valdez is the former Dallas County sheriff.
If you're ready for a Texas where all Texans have a fair shot and a voice in Austin, then join us.
Amy McGrath, the first woman Marine to fly an F-18 fighter jet in combat, has won a Democratic House primary in Kentucky.
I'm Jim Krasula. David Ermold fell short in his bid to challenge Republican Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis, who spent 5 days in jail 3 years ago for denying him and others same-sex marriage licenses. The gay man finished second in a four-way Democratic primary, even though he raised more than $200,000 in donations from people in nearly every state.
Author Philip Ross, acclaimed for books like Portnoy's Complaint, Goodbye Columbus, and American Pastoral. He has died. He won a Pulitzer Prize and 2 National Book Critics Circle Awards. But the biggest one eluded him. Roth's biographer, Blake Bailey.
He won every major award except for the Nobel. And not winning that did not bother him nearly as much as people seem to think.
Philip Roth died of congestive heart failure in New York. He was 85. Unionized workers in Las Vegas are threatening to strike, a strike that could cripple the casino industry. Live to CBS's Vicki Barker.
The culinary and bartenders unions gambling that casino bosses will settle before contracts affecting 50,000 workers expire at midnight, May 31st. Union bosses are demanding better pay, better conditions, and better protection from a new threat to their livelihoods, robots. They say automated systems are already doing the work of front desk staff at many Vegas resorts, and robots and drones could soon be mixing and serving drinks there, too. Deborah?
Demands for changes at the very top at the University of Southern California over a sex abuse scandal involving a former campus gynecologist. CBS's Bianna Goladriga.
200 faculty members called on USC President Max Nikias to step down, expressing outrage and disappointment over his alleged failure to protect against repeated and pervasive sexual harassment and misconduct.
S&P futures down 16, Dow futures off 172. This is CBS News.
Zoom Video Conferencing, featuring video and audio clarity with screen sharing. Free accounts are available at Zoom.us. That's Zoom.us. Zoom Video Conferencing.
Doors are being slammed in your face, and bad credit is holding you back from buying a house, car, even getting a credit card. $99 can put your credit back to a 720 or higher. That's right, just $99. Bankruptcy, tax liens, judgments, and even late pays can be removed from credit reports by calling the Giving Days Foundation. A nonprofit organization is here to help. Federal law allows you to challenge each and every item on your credit report. We'll recalculate your personal credit score for only $99 and repair your personal credit for free. Just be one of the first 10 callers. Take our personal credit challenge. Get your credit score to a 720. 800-482-4094. Call now to recalculate your personal credit score for only $99 and repair your personal credit for free. Call now. 800-482-4094. Don't miss this great free credit repair. Just be one of the first 10 callers. 800-482-4094.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. A brother and sister were recently found guilty of killing a Martinsburg man in January of last year, and on Monday another woman was given a 35-year prison sentence for her part in that crime. 20-year-old Destiny Baker of Martinsburg admitted to the charges in the robbery that resulted in Ramon Walker's death. The brother and sister will be sentenced in a couple of weeks. West Virginia U.S. Senate candidate and State Attorney General Patrick Morrisey is offering intense training to rape counselors to target and reduce human trafficking through the West Virginia Foundation for Rape Information and Services. The training's being held this morning at Shepherd University, just 2 days before National Missing Children's Day. West Virginia's large number of children in foster care, along with its rate of drug addiction and poverty, make the state's youth especially susceptible to human trafficking. And nighttime lane closures on Interstate 81 are resuming this week between West Virginia Exit 23 and Maryland Exit 1. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Yesterday's showers and thunder showers well off to sea at this point as high pressure moves in from the west, keeps things dry and comfortably warm. Should be a great evening for the Hedgesville High School graduation ceremonies. Same for tomorrow night for Musselman and Berkeley Springs. We're going to see lots of sunshine right through the day and temperatures getting up to around 82 this afternoon. Our nighttime low 56, skies mostly clear, and a bright sunny Thursday coming up, a little bit warmer, the high temperature near 84. We get to Friday, more humid, lots of sunshine, the high near 86 degrees. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
The future doesn't wait. Why should you? Blue Ridge Community and Technical College offers over 50 degree and certificate programs in education, IT, culinary arts, engineering, and so much more. Small class sizes, flexible schedules with evening and online classes, with affordable tuition, plus financial aid is available to those who qualify. Now you can go to college. Visit us online at blueridgectc.edu. That's blueridgectc.edu. Stop waiting and enroll today.
This is Matt Miller, along with my wife, Dale.
As homeowners, we've been through the mortgage process several times, and each time we went to Mark and Cheryl Savitt at the Mortgage Center.
They treat you like family with personal one-on-one service, walking with you through the process from application to settlement.
Plus, low interest rates and closing costs.
The Mortgage Center is on Edwin Miller Boulevard in Martinsburg.
Phone 304-267-9040.
Or online at mortgagefinancing.com. NMLS number 237527, equal housing lender.
Kids, what's the rule about running in the house?
Always run hard out of the box.
That's not what I said.
She's running third. Here comes the play at the plate. Uh-oh.
Oh, let's clean that up before Mom gets home.
Exciting baseball action and quality family time? There's a place for that. Nationals Park. Get more bang for your buck this baseball season with deals on tickets and concessions for the whole family. See you at Nationals Park, your place to run wild. Buy your tickets today at nationals.com.
Welcome back to the program, Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave, brought to you in this segment by Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies. When it comes to your home, auto, farm, or business, we're trusted, reliable, and experienced at Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies. 304-263-6540 and 304-263-6586. Our telephone numbers in the back half of this hour, around 9:35, 9:40. Jeanne Mozier from Berkeley Springs. You heard House Majority Leader Darrell Coles yesterday talk about the bypass. We asked him about the Berkeley Springs bypass, and he said Jeanne was among a small minority of people who were opposed to it. He felt there was a way to do it. He and Senator Trump were going to be working on that plan so that they could keep the trucks out of the city and still keep the town itself vibrant. Jeanne Mozier says you build a bypass, you kill the town.
And the first question to Jeanne, are you really a member of a small minority? She might not see it that way. I don't know. We'll find out from her. Nice to have Donnie on, by the way, and we were talking about obviously high school graduation. During the break, I reached out to Fran Inman, and she got right back to me. I asked, are the boys, Alex and Adrian, going to be in town together? And she said next week looked good because we'd like to have them on the show. Alex, of course, has been accepted to the Naval Academy to join his older brother, Adrian, who will be beginning his third year at the Naval Academy. And so two brothers from Berkeley County, both at the Naval Academy. Pretty cool story.
And we know Adrian hates water.
Yeah, we also know that he doesn't pick up after himself when he comes home.
Doesn't like boats.
We found that out from his mom.
So maybe the Naval Academy wasn't the best decision. I don't know.
I think Alex is the good boy out of that family. There's 5 boys. She would say they're all good boys.
Is he the youngest one?
He is.
Baby?
There's one more to come.
One more to go?
Still Tommy to come. Maybe they'll have 3 at the Naval Academy. I don't know.
God's in the Park this weekend at War Memorial Park. It is traditionally Memorial Day weekend, and we are talking right now with Pastor Randy Coyle. RC, how are you, baby?
Rob, it's a great pleasure to be with you always.
Thank you kindly.
Especially this morning.
Yeah, it's nice out today, isn't it?
What a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
We also arranged for a reunion for you this morning, I guess, huh?
This was incredible. I come in this morning, and I'm standing out front with Sherry, and I'm thinking, that's a voice from the past that's haunting me. That's the voice that used to holler at me when I was hiding under the bleachers when it came to sprints and gassers.
Can't even imagine.
No, it was such an amazing thing to see, Coach Dellinger here. He was such a great part of my past, a really great highlight. Poured great things into me that...
what position did you play, man?
Running back and linebacker.
And the voice, if you play high school football, I talk to every guy I know, regardless of their age, will admit to this, that voice of the high school football coach never really leaves your head. You know that voice for the rest of your life.
I was hiding out front because I thought, he's going to make me do something, push-ups or sit-ups or run around the building. I don't know.
Did you guys do monkey rolls in practice? You remember? You know what I mean by the monkey rolls? You have three guys, and then you just start this where you're rolling over the other guy as he dives over the other guy, and you dive over him, and you roll, and then you get up and do it again.
Well, most of us that were on that team are pastors now. And we
That's
were monkeys
funny.
that were rolling, I can tell you that.
How many pastors were on that team?
We have, I think, 4 pastors from that team.
No kidding.
That's amazing.
It really is. And I have to tell you, the one thing I talk about many times to different people when I'm using it as an example of like what happened in this situation is we were all, I think, some of the biggest troublemakers that this county's ever seen. And I proved that with my
Before you became pastors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that were on that team, we've stayed together our whole life. I mean, like when you look at God's in the Park, it's a compilation of our 81 team.
No way.
Well, Randy, look at the 12 disciples. They were a gnarly bunch, weren't they?
They were a gnarly bunch at best, for sure. That's a good way to put it, Dave.
Now, you graduated in 81, so this would have been the fall of 80, would have been your senior year of football?
Yes.
Okay, so you're the same as me then.
Sure. And when you look at like God's in the Park, we've got Chuck Donovan there.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Donovan's from Full Gospel in Berkeley Station. We've got Tom Snyder. These guys have shows on your network.
Yes.
Tom Snyder's real influential from Back Creek Valley Full Gospel Church. Greg Butler, Booty Butler from Butler's, Farm Market. But when you look at like that team, there's so many of us players that are still together, through all these years. Like my life, of course, took, ebbs and flows. But when I was on top, they were with me. When I was on the bottom, they were with me. We've stayed together through a lot of things. And I really believe it's because of, some things that were poured into us by some good men like Donnie Dellinger. I really do.
Oh, I can promise you that those coaches, good ones, will influence a young man, for the rest of his life in so many ways.
Sure, they will. And when I saw him today, I thought, praise God for having people like that in our life. And I have to say this, Coach Dellinger was a good influence. Sometimes you look back and you see some people that were not so good of influences, and when you retrace your steps, you have to look back and say, we need to stay away from some of those kind of influences for the future. But Coach Dellinger was a great influence, a great man.
You talk about him losing his temper at players. The only time I ever saw him even coming close to, let's say, expressing a high temper rage was during the teacher strike. Remember, Rob? He got a couple of times when he was on the show talking about it, he was a little upset at some of the politicians not handling this well. And I was like, whoa, that's a side of Donnie I didn't know.
There was a lot of frustration there, and it was on all sides. There were many different sides to that. And from my perspective as a talk show host, you get a chance to hear all the sides as thoroughly as you want to hear them. And from the legislature's perspective, they wanted to make sure before they did anything, they did it responsibly, and they had the finances to do it. And I think any reasonable person, when you sit back and you analyze that, would say the responsible thing to do is to make sure not to take the governor's play money and say, oh, we'll just raise the projections. You make sure you've got the money, and then you pass the bill.
Yeah, Rob, I totally agree with that. When you look back on the whole situation, and I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but it's worth, I think, just taking a breath and talking about this. Republican leadership at the end of the day did find a way to provide for public employees, including the teachers, a path forward to be able to, the outcome being a pay raise. And that they maybe were cautious and needed to find the dollars, as you say, in the right kind of way. I don't really think they should be punished, personally, should be punished for that. And I think that's one of the reasons you won't see, it's my prediction, you won't see in the general election huge amounts of organized teachers and public employees coming out and opposing the Republicans. I mean, as much as opposition leaders might want them to do that, I just don't see the passion there, because at the end of the day, the Republicans in the legislature, I do think, acted responsibly.
I would concur. Randy Coyle is our guest here on the program at God's in the Park this weekend, and this is always such a huge event with thousands of people attending, and you're going to get a good day of weather Friday. Saturday, you may get a little bit of rain, but that's okay too sometimes.
We prayed Saturday, it's going to be good.
You got it?
We have a forecast from heaven.
Look at it as a baptism from the sky.
or as they say down in the islands, liquid sunshine, man.
Yes. Well, we've had 7 years of God's in the Park.
I thought that's what they meant by rum.
No, they mean that's the rain.
We've had 7 years of God's in the Parks. And last year was the first time we had rain.
Really?
And we always wondered what it would be like if we had rain. It meant nothing. Nobody cared.
Just cooled people off.
No, there was like 300 people standing in line for some amazing chicken, and I tell you what, they could care less about the rain.
Talk about some of the stuff you got coming up this weekend there, because you got a lot of things going on.
Rob, I think this is going to be the most amazing God's in the Park we've ever done. When you do something for 8 years, how do you build up to that? It gets a little bit routine if you're not careful, but this year has been way outside of routine. We've been hit from every direction. We've had to jump every single hurdle that we could possibly jump. We've had everything go wrong that we think could go wrong. And
that just sounds like a Monday around here.
Yeah, including,
But God hasn't given you anything you can't handle.
No,
Okay.
no. I was in the hospital all night last night.
Why is that?
They rushed my mother into surgery.
Sorry to hear that.
And, well, praise God, I'm not. Because, the doctor was an amazing doctor that picked up something that hadn't been picked up for a year and a half and could have killed her. She could have died of a heart attack, but he got it. It was a touch and go day, but last night about 3:30 things broke. And
right here at our own hospital, right?
Winchester.
Winchester.
Yeah, Winchester. They had a heart surgeon over there that needed to see her because of his expertise. But, even with that, God's in the midst. We were in prayer, Mom and I, in the wee hours of the morning. And, we see the hand of God move in so many different ways. And these Gods in the Parks are just exemplary of that. We see things happen that we can't otherwise imagine. I have to tell you, I was talking to a pastor on my way over. All the pastors were praying for Mom. They knew that things weren't in such a good position yesterday. And I told them, I said, I watch, it seems like on a daily basis, the hand of God move in a miraculous, supernatural way. But I can't ever get the feeling that I'm not just staggered by his goodness when I see it manifest. I'm not going to get into the particulars, but Mom was in a bad position. And about 3:30 in the morning, it broke in a whole nother direction that was just really overwhelming to me. And when I left there this morning, she was up eating breakfast talking about going to God's in the Park.
Very nice.
So
Very
praise
nice.
God.
My mom is 85, and she will it seems about every 3 months lately, she has to be taken to the hospital because of some heart problems that she's having. If you talk to her the next day, her first words out of her mouth is, "I'm not sick. I just had a little episode." So she refuses to admit ever that she's sick or needs help. So
my mom is 85, and I've heard that same sentence.
Yeah, I'm not sick.
Little episode.
I'm fine.
Don't worry about it.
I'm going to live to be 100, guaranteed.
Well, actually, both of my grandmothers did. So,
okay.
There's a good chance my mom will. But when we talk about God's in the Park, we see amazing miracles there. We're really kind of poised for miracles this year. We have 3 different clinics coming from across the country. We have a ministry that's working with us called Better Life Ministries. They're local, and they have a unique edge to what they do. You guys will, I think, be intrigued by this. This is a pastor that runs this ministry. His name is Steve Moan. His wife, Ashley Moan, actually works at God Won Ministries. But this pastor had a back problem. He had fell through a roof. He's a construction man by trade. He fell through a roof and had back surgery. He actually had 21 surgeries. He got addicted to opiates. And long story short, he ended up falling into heroin. Now, he was a pastor and fell because of this opiate situation. And God brought him back, resurrected him, and now he's been years in the streets. And they just started their own ministry a year ago, and now they're working with God Won Ministries. And I have to tell you this, we really feel the word that we're using for the park this year is militant, Rob. Militant. Dave, we have total focus this year on going into the park and reaching into the streets of Martinsburg and helping to pull some of these people out and put them in vans and get them to rehab clinics where we can help hopefully see God change their life.
So you go on Friday and Saturday, noon until 8.
Yes.
You're going to have food,
Yes.
lots of activities. You're giving stuff away again.
Oh, yeah, we're giving...
major stuff.
Oh, major stuff. Country Roads, Tire Pros, those guys out there, Brian and his dad, are giving away a car each day. So that's a door prize. You just come.
That's a door prize.
It's a door prize.
Giving away a car.
Yeah.
The door prize.
Each day. We give away one on Friday. We give away one on Saturday.
How do you win it?
You just sign up for a door prize, and your number gets picked out of a hat. You win.
Who's giving cars away? Who's sponsoring your car giveaway?
That's Country Roads Tire Pros.
Wow.
The Goodyear dealership out at the Berkeley
Right.
Plaza.
And they're paying for the cars that are being given away.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, they donate them every year.
That's amazing.
And they actually, all of our events, we had a men's conference back in September of last year. They gave a car away for that conference. And what was really beautiful about that conference is this. The guy that won the car was a guy named Bob Ziegler that owned Red Shed Tires. Bob's business, I don't know if y'all remember, it burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
It burnt to the ground. And right in the midst of that, he was at this men's conference, like the week before, and won the car. And his car, one of his cars got burnt up in the fire. So they absolutely needed a fire. They needed a car. Wow. God knew that before it happened. They didn't. But so it's amazing the way, these kind of miraculous things happen in the midst of these different events.
Of course, a big part of this program this weekend is the music. Can you talk to us about that? Who's playing? And
oh, we've got some great people coming in. We try to use a lot of area talent. We have so many talented musicians in this area.
There's no doubt about it.
It's amazing. I mean, we've got, like Ed and Margaret Dance. That's a singing duo from one of the churches that are local, the Christian Center. They Ed's a part of God Won Ministries, but they're a very well-respected local group. We've got like the Back Creek Valley Singers. We've got, the different worship groups from all the different churches. But we have like Daniel's Vision, and they're really unique because they're kind of like a spoof, like on a rock and roll Christian band, but they take like songs that you would like The Who and different ones, and put lyrics to them that glorify God. And, we have Covenant Ground coming. They're a national recording group that they came in last year. They're coming in again this year. And then just other area talent that we have on stage that really ushers in the anointing of God. We have a guy named Caleb Trail. He's one of my favorite worship leaders. He's from actually up in Hancock, and he is an amazing artist. So when people come, they feel an anointing, and they just feel the love of God coming from the stage in so many different ways.
And is the genre of the Christian music mostly contemporary, or is it old stuff?
We do a balance.
Okay.
We do, we have, like I said, we're doing a little more rock this year. We have some rock.
Okay.
We have contemporary. We have Southern gospel. We have the old just gospel, hymns and things like that. But we try to set this up in a way that every part of the community can be touched. Like on Friday, we mainly cater to the seniors. Like from the time we open until about 4:30, we cater to the seniors. And then from 4:30 on, we bring Michael T. in.
Because that's 4:30 is about the limit most of us have, right, at our age. we got to
Speak for yourself.
We got to get home by then.
Speak for yourself. I know that you have the best hair of all three of us.
Dinner's at
but
5.
I have some energy now. I've been up all night. I'm still here.
Randy, don't sell yourself short. You've got great hair.
You got great hair.
The great thing that Dave was talking about before the show has kind of bothered me. So my hairstylist may be getting a couple extra bucks this time.
My wife thinks gray on men and no hair on men is actually sexy, by the way. So I'm just, that's a woman's perspective. I'm just passing that on.
And yet your hair is brown and you have plenty of it.
Yes, I do.
And still she married you.
She did, yeah. But she was hoping I'd either go bald or gray by now. And I haven't. But no, I mean, and you do have a lot of energy, and obviously it takes a lot of energy to do this. But the what I find to be very fascinating by this is the number of members. This is not just one denomination. These are Christians from many different denominations that come to this. And I remember this from past years, and that's a pretty cool thing.
It is. It's really a compilation of everybody's efforts. I want to say this. There's no way that any one church could do this. There's no way that any one group could do this. It's way too big. Mm-hmm. It takes a compilation and a group of people that are working together. And, we're doing these in different areas now. We're doing them we're scheduled for the July 20th and 21st in Moorefield, West Virginia. Then we're going to be down Labor Day weekend. We're going to be in Leesburg, Virginia.
But your first one was here, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
So it started here.
Yeah, this was all started in Martinsburg. But I want to tell you, there's no way that, one group can do this. It takes like a whole community. And really, as you're looking at the Gods in the Park, the event itself is the byproduct. It's not as much the focus as what people really believe. It's the byproduct of a whole community coming together, working together, communicating together, and walking together arm in arm for one common goal and one common purpose. And, our bedrock principles for Gods in the Park is, one, we want to see souls saved. We want to see lives changed. We want to see people going from living defeated lives to living victorious lives.
So is there a kind of an altar call then to come up and confess your belief in God? Is that a part of this event?
Yeah, there's actually altar calls all throughout the day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then we even have what we call a deliverance tabernacle, which is a pavilion that we rent that we set up for people that are having problem with addictions. They're in the throes of alcohol, heroin, whatever their drug of choice is. And we've got specialists that work that pavilion that actually can, at the end of the day or at the end of their session, can put them in a van and take them to a clinic somewhere and get them help.
Randy, hang out another segment if you could.
Yes, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Gods in the Park at War Memorial Park Friday and Saturday. This weekend it's from noon until 8 on Friday. They'll be serving pulled pork, hamburgers, hot dogs, chips, cake, soda, and more. And on Saturday, smoked chicken, hamburgers, hot dogs, chips, cake, and soda, and lots more. That's served from 12:30 until 5. Lots of activities, too, and swimming and more. We'll run down the hours of the activities and more with Randy Coyle when we come back right after this. And I should tell you, this segment was brought to you by Miller Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Route 9, east of Martinsburg, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Fire up the barbecues and the deals at the Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Memorial Day sales event. You'll get great savings up to $12,000 off a 2018 Ram 1500. Save up to $6,000 off a 2018 Cherokee. You can drive away in an all-new 2018 Journey SE for just $234 a month. How about a 2018 Jeep Compass Sport for $252 a month? Or a 2018 Dodge Durango only $389 a month. This weekend at the Memorial Day sales event, you can get a gas card for every test drive Friday through Monday and stop in Saturday from 12 to 2 for a cookout. And while you're there, check out the no money down specials at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty on Kelly Island Road or online at millerschryslerjeep.com. Stock number 18240, stock number 18017. All payments based on approved credit, taxes, tags, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details.
Life is complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Bank of Charlestown is a locally owned community bank with 7 conveniently located offices serving the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, Middleburg, Virginia, and their newest office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student checking account, a college graduate purchasing a new car, a first-time home buyer, or investing for retirement, BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your financial life. Also, make sure you are following BCT on Twitter and Instagram at MyBCT or like their Facebook page to see how BCT reinvests local deposits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This segment of Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave brought to you by the Bank of Charlestown. We simplify your life. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, BCT, the Bank of Charlestown. God's in the Park this Friday and Saturday at War Memorial Park from noon until 8. Lots of stuff going on, too, including a boys and girls swim. It's 6:30 to 9:30 on Friday and Saturday. Wilson's Wild Animal Park, Saturday from noon until 4. They've got a petting zoo and pony rides. On Friday, Chase and SpongeBob, our cartoon friends, are on hand. Saturday, Marshall, Sky, Smurf, and the classic Bugs Bunny as well. They'll have face painting and the magic of Michael T., always a hit. Live music and lots of door prizes, too. You can win a car, a TV, and a computer each of the 2 days at War Memorial Park this Friday and Saturday. And Pastor Randy Coyle, RC, is the man who is coordinating all this, along with the help of thousands, it sounds like, when you put together an event of this size, Randy.
It really is. I mean, this year has been our biggest planned park event. And I have to say this, we probably have seen less people working, like in the trenches, than we have some of our smaller events. But the people that are working are so dedicated, they're so focused, and they're willing to give 100% of their effort, 100% of their gifts and talents, 100% of everything they have. And it's been, quite miraculous to watch the whole thing unveil. As it's unfolded, I'm shocked at every point we get to a roadblock. God just brings people in that just help us jump that hurdle and make the park event better than it would have been before. Does that make sense?
I've heard some of your stories off the air when you and I have talked, and it's really been quite a convergence of small miracles that make everything happen along the way here.
It really is, Rob. And I have to tell you this, we started talking before the break. When you do events like this, that are large in scale and, also in resources. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, let's face it, to do this, it takes a lot of resources. There's a lot of people that have to put, a certain amount into this pile for this pile to come up this big. But when you put all that together, it's easy to have things fall through the cracks and go bad at different times. And it's also easy for people to get into complaining, for people to get into arguments, strife, division. But we don't have that. The people that are come for God's in the Park to work together, to see a community changed, they're so willing to just give what they have and focus on what they can instead of what somebody else is not doing or what somebody else should be doing. It makes it all really enjoyable to do. Does that make any sense?
Sure it does.
Although I will tell you, and I shared this with you the last time you were on, but at the risk of repeating myself, when I went down to visit with you at the park last year, it was not the cool, casual, just hang out, mellow Randy Coyle that I saw at that park that day.
No.
It was pretty serious Randy that I saw that day, because you had a lot on your mind and a lot of weight on your shoulders to make everything work the way it needed to work. And I thought, I don't know that Randy.
Man, Dave, I tell you, he's here.
That's the Randy I used to know.
He comes back every now and then for a park event. Believe me. It takes that.
It does. Oh, yeah, I totally get it. You had a lot of responsibility on your shoulders that day, and I just wanted to hang out and have fun with you. So
wait, we have to get together after the park event, Dave.
I got it.
And you know, because you've put together big projects. So you've been a part of that. Rob has been a part of those type of things as well. You guys know when it's game day, it's game day. And whatever is going to go wrong, it just has to be fixed. And it has to be fixed as quickly as it can. And it's intense when you put these kind of big projects together. And I think...
Because you want the people attending to think there's nothing going wrong, everything's just fine.
You want them to think that.
Mr. Wizard's behind the curtain pulling all the strings, right? But so they can all just have a nice time at the event.
And you know what the funny thing is? When we'll have our last meeting before the park event Thursday night at the park, and we break bread together, and we have a good time of fellowship, all the workers. And the first thing I say every time I take the platform is, okay, now I want you to get ready, because everything that we've planned and everything you think's going to happen tomorrow is not going to happen. It's all going to go in a totally different direction, and we're going to let God take us wherever he takes us. But whatever hurdle we have to jump, we're going to jump it, and we're going to jump it together. We're not going to point fingers. We're not going to say, well, he should have, she should have, she would have, she could have. We're going to just join together. We're going to knit together, and we're going to work to change this community.
And if you're that guy in charge, as I suspect you are, at least you appear to be, every little problem that goes with your workers, from not enough napkins on a table, they're going to go right to you.
Absolutely.
You're dealing with every single problem, the big ones and the little ones, and I'm sure there's sometimes you want to say, really, do you have to bring that problem to me? You could probably solve that on your own.
As you can imagine from talking to me last year, I'm not quite as calm when I say really.
No, you're not.
When they say, I think we're out of forks, I'm going, are you serious?
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
asked me about forks?
That's the Randy. That's the Randy I saw
Hopefully
down there.
God has changed some of that, but I'm still working.
You did allow me to take a selfie of the two of us so I could text it to Rob that day.
How many people are you expecting, Randy?
Thousands, Rob. It's there will be.
Are you able to do a count of the folks who are there? Or is it just kind of a mass of people that wander in and out?
It's a mass, and it's hard to get it exact, but it's many thousands, and we'll feed thousands of people, and there will be thousands of people that will be involved in all the different activities, and they're going in so many different directions. That whole park is
it's a lot of land.
Yeah, it's pretty large, and there's stuff going on everywhere. And I want to say this too: we're very blessed that Parks and Rec, Steve Catlett and Patches and all the people that work at Parks and Rec, they do an amazing job for our community. There's lots of times that those kind of people that really are just in the trenches working, we don't mention maybe as much as we should, but they do great jobs to get the park ready for the opening of the park, and for us, they've given us the park every year to do this, and it's been an amazing work that the Lord has done.
Very committed people, absolutely.
They are.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think for the size of community that we have, to have the high-quality park and recreation department that we have, it's really quite amazing.
Well, I want to say this. When I was a kid, we talked about Donnie Dellinger and us when we were young. I used to travel down to Richmond.
You can call him Coach if you want. It's
okay, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Because he'll always be coach to me.
Exactly.
My dad used to take us down to Richmond when Steve played basketball down there. Him and his brother Mark played Mark at WVU and Steve at Richmond. But, we've all been together in some way, shape, or form in this community for many years.
All Hedgesville kids.
We were, yes.
Potato Hill and all that comes with Potato Hill, right?
I guess so. It's going to be Potato Hill this weekend. We'll be serving French fries, I think, too.
And Randy, the kicker is this is all free.
Yes, it's, a situation where we want to bless the community. We want people that wouldn't have a chance to be a part of something like this otherwise to have the opportunity, like the swim. We're blessed that the park, allows us to have the pool on Friday night, the night before opening day. And we get a chance then to bless the kids in this community to have a free swim that maybe they won't get to swim the rest of the summer.
Do you baptize in that pool?
Somebody asked me that the other day.
Why not?
And
it's chlorinated.
What a great place for some baptism.
I said that.
Just hold your nose and dip them and just put them on out. Just have a line going out the front.
I think we had some baptisms a couple years ago. They weren't planned, but
Use the diving board. Push them off the diving board. Have someone fish them out the other end.
Exactly right.
We might be doing baptisms this year just because of that other person that suggested it and you.
It's God's in the Park, War Memorial Park, this Friday and Saturday, noon until 8. And it's all free with great door prizes, free food, lots of activities, too. Cartoon Friends, a petting zoo, the magic of Michael T., and more. Randy, thanks so much for visiting with us today. Friday is 2 years since my cancer surgery, and you were a huge part of my recovery. Thank you so much.
Man,
Great a friend.
We bless you and bless the Lord for what he did in healing you, brother.
You helped bring my buddy back.
Praise God for the opportunity.
9:38. Jeanne Mozier joins us next on the show.
No, help me. Come on. Somebody help me now. I'll take it. Yeah. Help me, Dean.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
The Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center introduces a healthy way of life. It's not just another diet, but a weight management program developed by the Wellness Center that includes metabolic testing, a simple 10-minute breathing test that determines how many calories your body actually needs, followed by working one-on-one with a health coach to develop a personalized mix of exercise and nutrition to tip the scales in your favor towards successful weight loss. A lifetime of good health awaits at the Wellness Center. For more info, call 304-264-1232.
The Honda Memorial Day sales event has brilliant deals on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's the perfect way to start summer across America. From the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, and even back up to Niagara Falls. So start your summer with the 2018 KBB.com Best Overall Brand during the Honda Memorial Day sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Miller Honda south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand image awards from Kelly Blue Book. Visit KBB.com for more information.
Downtown Martinsburg is the place to be for the Fridays at 5 summer concert series from June 1st through August 31st. Enjoy great music and fun with well-known musicians, bands, and Martinsburg artists that'll liven up your spirits at the town square. Concerts begin at 5 p.m. and usually last until 7. Enjoy great music while visiting Martinsburg's Farmers Market, housed on East King Street, where you're able to enjoy fresh fruits and veggies, chicken and pork, and a lot more. Pets are allowed in the square during the concerts, provided they're on a 6-foot leash or less. For the full concert summer series lineup, go to MainStreetMartinsburg.com. You know, Dave, when you break up this theme music, it's only for one person. One person and one person only.
Pretty obvious who the next guest is, and I might add, there are very few people around here who have their own theme song.
That's true.
I was just thinking that same thing. I feel so honored.
You should.
And some people don't even need an introduction.
No.
But give her one anyway, Rob.
She is Ivy League educated, CIA indoctrinated, Morgan County marinated Jeanne Mozier. Good morning, Jeanne.
Good to be with you guys.
Well, the pleasure's always ours.
It's been way too long.
Yeah.
Jeanne, we had the House Majority Leader Darrell Coles on yesterday. He said that he and Senator Charlie Trump, who is the Judiciary Chair, are looking over the planned project in Morgan County for the Berkeley Springs bypass, and they agree it needs a little bit of work so that the bypass functions without damage to the downtown area of Berkeley Springs itself. You feel that any kind of bypass is going to hurt Berkeley Springs and maybe kill the town. Is that correct?
Well, if I could gear up my magic wand and make it disappear, that's exactly what I would do. However, I am a realist, and so I'm part of the bypass task force to make certain that if we have to do this, it's done as well as possible with as little destruction as possible. And I want to say that I am, and I've expressed this to both Charles and Darrell, I'm shocked that they were out there promoting this bypass without having ever seen the maps, without knowing what the route was. So when we dragged them over to show them these problems at the north and south entrance of the town, they were horrified. And it was like, okay, that's good. That means they'll listen to us. However, they should have been looking at this beforehand. But that's another issue.
You know, Jeannie, when we had Darrell on the phone yesterday, I asked him specifically where the north and south, exits would be to go out. I did not follow that up with exactly where the route may go, but I was wondering that after the show, and it's kind of been on my mind because having lived in Morgan County, for so many years myself, that it seems to me if you don't do this just right, it could be really interfering with a lot of people's, property, I would think.
Of course. And, of course, I can't even tell you how distressed I am about the state spending this however many $1-point-something billion without a plan. There is absolutely no statewide road plan in West Virginia. And what they did when people voted them all this money is they went in and they pulled off the shelves every old plan they had. So the map, the topo map that's used for Berkeley Springs for the bypass and everything is 20 years old. Nobody's looked at it. Nobody's thought about it. Nobody talked to anyone about it. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't run my organizations and my events without planning. But apparently the state of West Virginia does.
Jeanne, you say there's no plan, but when the governor was campaigning basically for this highway bill, this bond to be passed, he listed projects in almost every county of the state. Is that not a plan?
Well, that's what was sitting on their shelves from however many years ago. There's no, if you called up DOH right now and said, do you have an overall map of how you want to see the roads developed in West Virginia, I guarantee you they couldn't produce it.
Let's talk about the Berkeley Springs bypass. What is acceptable to you in terms of where it would start to direct traffic away from 522 and then rejoin?
Well, it isn't so much where, it's how. So they set up the bypass so that either coming north on 522 or coming south on 522, you were forced to go onto the bypass. They literally had plans to barricade 522. So all traffic would have to get on the bypass. At their original plan, the one we still have because we haven't gotten it changed yet, provides no through traffic. You have to get on the bypass, and then you have to go through a convoluted series of whatever to get off right away, or you have to go off on 7 access roads, all of which are completely inadequate for any kind of bypass traffic.
Jeannie, isn't it traditional in a situation like this, at least as I drive around, you have the option of going on Route 7 highway or Route 7 business? I mean, you have the choice to do that.
And that was our point. Really? Have you guys never seen a bypass before? So.
Yeah, no, that I have to tell you, I mean, I'm really kind of shocked, Rob, to hear that, because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I totally understand getting traffic off the downtown and making it faster and getting the trucks out of downtown. I get that. I don't think you even agree with that, but at least I understand that part.
Yes, I understand that.
But the part of it that just excludes the option of going through town if you want is ridiculous.
Absolutely. And that's why the county commission, that's why the town, that's why the EDA, that's why all of these groups have signed resolutions supporting our request to have a redesign of the entrance and exit to the bypass.
The majority leader, Darrell Coles, yesterday, I think I'm paraphrasing what he said, but more or less said, you represent a minority of people in Morgan County. Do you consider yourself, in this case, as it concerns the bypass, a minority?
If it's a minority, it's a very, very, let's see how to say it, it's a very large minority. And I think that anybody with the business in town, the entire tourism industry, because Travel Berkeley Springs signed on to our request for redesign. I've certainly gotten all kinds of responses from people saying thank you for opposing this. Now, whether these people are ready to say we don't want any kind of bypass or whether they're saying we want something that makes sense is, questionable what the percentages of that are. However, of course, nobody asked us.
I remember when this was being discussed 20 or so years ago when I was living there, and my favorite phrase that I remember saying was that if I were to live out where this bypass is going, I hope they come right through my living room so they'll pay me something. Because
And that's exactly the comments that are being made, is that people who are going to lose their homes and lose their land to the bypass want to, have these dreams of millions of dollars because Walmart's going to buy their land. And we did have a conversation with folks the other night who were irritated that the bypass wasn't coming closer to their house so that the state would have to buy it.
Well, of course, the worst thing would be the poor guy with a front lawn now that borders a freeway. I mean, you don't get any money, and now your front yard's on a darn freeway. That would be the worst thing.
Exactly. Actually, the people on Sugar Hollow Road have the worst thing because they're closing their road halfway through. And so you end up, not being able to use your road anymore. It's crazy.
Jeanne, you mentioned there would be 7 access roads to get off the bypass, and you said they are all inadequate. Is part of the master plan to improve all of those access roads?
No.
What makes the roads inadequate?
Well, if you've ever been to Berkeley Springs and taken Myers Road, David, that's the one at Widmeyer Elementary.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Which is about 50 feet wide, maybe,
yeah.
And twisty and turny. That's one of the roads. And it's like, well, what happens if somebody not knowing what this road is decides they want to get off the bypass and get on this road? I mean, you can barely get 2 cars passing each other.
Is it 7 access roads or is it 7 exits off of the bypass?
Well, 7 access points, so you can either get on or get off.
At each of those 7 places?
Correct. It's an on-grade crossing.
I don't even know if Berkeley County has 7 exits all up and down I-81, do they?
No.
And this is a 4-mile bypass. It's like, are you kidding me, you guys? 4 miles and you've got 7 access points.
And those exits are expensive to build, by the way.
Oh, well, not when they're on grade, like 522 in Winchester, where it's 2 lanes. It's a divided highway. Those are just on grade. I guess they have. I don't even know that they have deceleration and acceleration lanes on a lot of those. You just turn off.
So here's the David Welch plan. The David Welch plan has a bypass. If you're going to build one, build a bypass and give people the option of either getting on the bypass and let's say it, bypassing Berkeley Springs, right? That's what that's why you have a bypass.
Right.
And then giving them the option to either go into town. So people who live in town, for example, at least, or people who are going to the town can just stay on 522. Maybe have one exit. So you could put a gas station and a restaurant out there or whatever.
At Route 9.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, and in addition, so remember, this is a 4-mile bypass. You get on from a 2-lane road, and this is a 4-lane bypass. You get on from a 2-lane road, you get off on a 2-lane road, and in that 4 miles, or in that beginning and ending and 4 miles, there are 4 different speed limits.
In the 2-mile stretch?
Really?
4 miles.
4 miles.
Well, okay. It's one speed when you're getting off on 522. It's another speed when you're on the bypass. It's another speed when you're getting off 522 to the north. And, when you're coming from town, it's another.
Okay, well, these are all projected things right now. None of this has happened. Is all of this going to be worked out as you continue to get the final plan drawn?
Well, we certainly hope so, and that's what our task force was formed to do, was to outline these issues. And we've asked Charles to set up a meeting with the head of the Department of Transportation to talk this through. I mean, seriously, if this were designed as part of a highway planning class, you'd get a D- on it.
Hey, by the way, Jeanne, where does the plan currently cross Route 9?
Right around, just sort of below Youngbloods.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, You know that.
That's really close to town.
Oh yeah, it's a major cloverleaf.
Jeanne Mozier is our guest here at Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave, appearing courtesy of the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center Talk Line. We're discussing the 522 bypass. And yesterday we spoke with House Majority Leader Darrell Coles about it, and he says it's going through, and I think by 2020 it's supposed to be completed, is I think what he said yesterday. Jeanne laughs at that.
Why are you laughing, Jeannie?
For the past 4 years, we've been trying to get DOH to design a bridge for our walking trail at the north end of town, and they don't seem to be able to manage to get it done. So
now,
if you
I'm going to get you back on focus, back focused here on this bypass, Jeanne. I assume that you have cited studies, or that there's been some type of study done that has discovered the effect of a bypass on a small downtown area. Have you looked into this and seen what the results are? What have you found?
Well, of course it depends on the location, but generally what the studies say collectively is the bypassed area always suffers economic loss. That always the type of businesses that appear along the bypass are gas stations, fast food restaurants, and big box stores, although in 4 miles there's probably not enough room, flat land for all of that. And that planning is the key issue. And, of course, there has been no planning. There's been no planning on the state level. There's been no planning on the local level. I mean, right now, there's no water. I mean, if these businesses, this miraculous economic development, that's why we're doing this bypass, materializes, they better not need water because there isn't any. There isn't enough in the town water system to bring out that far. And when they did the water study in Morgan County, they found that basically east of 522 there are no water sources.
Really?
Jeannie, for 40 years you have worked tirelessly to, let's say, create a national brand for Berkeley Springs, and you've done a miraculous job. That doesn't mean we all have to agree with Jeanne Mozier on everything. But overall, everyone, I think, should join me in complimenting you on the enormous job you've done to bring national attention to Berkeley Springs as a quality tourist destination. Do you think this bypass interferes with that quality that you've worked for all of these years to put forward to the outside public to draw them in?
I think it does if you end up making it impossible for people to go through town easily. One of the things we've found with Travel Berkeley Springs over the years is about 30% of our new visitors, people coming for the first time, say exactly the same thing to us. They say, oh, I've driven through your little town so many times and it's so cute, and we decided this time we would stop. Now, blow off 30% of your business? I don't think so. So yes, we are a destination that puts us at an advantage. However, we do have a large drive-through business. Not that these people drive through, have a hamburger, and go on, but that they drive through and then they come back for a visit. I think that the downtown businesses are going to have a big economic shock. I know the folks at the Country Inn are very anxious about this. I mean, they just invested a huge amount of money bringing the inn back, and now there could end up being a Super 8 on the bypass.
Jeanne, I got to jump in because we are out of time.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much for yours this morning. I appreciate the revelation that in the town that hosts one of the world's biggest water tasting competitions, just a little jog out of town, there's no water. We just found out this morning. Jeanne, thank you. We got to get to the break. It's 9:58.
We're talking with Joe Ferretti of Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone. Joe, how do you hire a personal injury attorney?
Rob, we believe you should look for an attorney who has a good reputation and the results to match. Ask around. We have a history of success representing folks who live here. You'll be convinced that my law firm is the one to handle your personal injury claim. Call Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone at 264-8505 for a free review of your case. Or contact us online at hfslawyers.com. At Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone, reputation and results matter.
It's that time of year again. I'm Ron Springer, head golf professional at The Woods, and I'm excited to announce the second annual Tournament of Champions on October 5th. Want to dethrone the 2017 champs? Now's the time to enter your team into one of the many qualifying tournaments here at The Woods. Not only can you win more money for your sponsoring organization, you can also win great prizes for you and your teammates. For a list of qualifying tournaments, see ads in the Journal, Around the Panhandle, and at thewoods.com. It's on.
Big thanks to Jeanne Mozier on the WU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. And I just want to say, House Majority Leader Darrell Coles, listening to the interview, texted me and he said the start date is July of 2020. They announced scheduled public workshop meeting at a start date July 2020. So not the end date. So my apologies for getting that fact blatantly incorrect. That's on me. Thank you very much, Delegate Coles.
If you get it wrong in this job, there's lots of people to correct you, which is a good thing.
I'm thankful for that.
I am too.
Hey, thanks to our all of our guests today, and to our producer Sherry Dieter Davis, and to our wonderful audience, including Roy, who is recruiting more and more viewers on Comcast Cable Channel 10. He said he brought in 19 today. So thank you, Roy.
Love Roy. Tomorrow, Steve Catlett is on, and Bill Kearns from the Health Department.
Back again in 22 short hours. This is Talk Radio WRR Martinsburg.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by TheraWorks Relief.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says a bad deal with North Korea is not an option for the U.S. Weighing in on next month's planned summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, Pompeo tells members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee the U.S. will respectfully walk away if talks on denuclearization head in the wrong direction.